Okay, call this regular session to order. Wednesday, June 5th. The time is 7 p.m. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll go ahead and open it up for visitor comments.
Say that again.
Please state your name for the record.
Tony Doggett. Hi, guys.
Hi, Tony.
Can you speak into the mic?
Yes.
Like a rock star, real close.
Okay, so I guess I'm here about the lagoon. I hear a lot of rumors, so I thought I'd come to the horse's mouth to hear.
Appreciate that.
What exactly is going on? Where are you in the planning processes of this, of bringing, I think the word is Superfund, toxic, waste.
Sure, there's a number of things around it. You're right. No, you're right.
To St. Helens that people really have some serious concerns about. Property owners, just the general health of people in this town.
Yes.
And why a big city would want to give a small amount of dollars, $50 million in this world is that the amount that they're offering?
Well, first and foremost, let me start with what's probably got everybody drawn down here was the headlines of a closed meeting.
Well, that I'm not concerned
Well,
about.
but I do need to address it as a whole.
Sure.
That we are allowed to, by law, have executive sessions, and we did invite the media. Both media outlets were invited. They did not attend. We're basically working on a theory right now for that site, potentially to be I wouldn't say, it's called a Class B or C landfill. Yeah. So.
Nothing's been decided.
And it's just a theory.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
that's why I'm
We haven't
here.
planned anything.
And that whole story, this has been going around for a while.
Yeah, I know, because it's been before I was mayor.
Yeah,
it
it's
was
what
talked
can
about.
we do there is
Yeah.
what is all that we've done is what can we do, and they're doing studies to find out what can be done there.
Okay,
That's all.
that's basically why
What
I wanted
can be
to come
done.
here and find
We
out.
haven't
and
said
how
we
far
want to
along-
do anything. It was what can be done.
Despite the rumors that are flying, I'm glad that you came here with exactly that attitude instead of being a keyboard warrior and just pouncing on every
No, I
little
just-
thing
yeah.
and assuming that you got all the answers. I appreciate that, Tony. I
Okay.
really,
Well,
really do.
that's all I wanted to know.
Yeah.
I just wanted to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Dom, would you
Yeah.
like to add to that a little
There's
bit?
two questions. Right now we're going through can it technically be done? Is it technically possible to fill the lagoon
Right.
with the material that we're considering? And the other, even bigger question is, can it be done safely? You know,
Right.
Yes.
I mean, we all know nature bats last,
Yeah.
so you're going to have
Yep.
not a big wall. I mean, there's not much room between that lagoon and the mighty Columbia River.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, and we
Right,
get that.
so-
Do you realize that there are brownfields here in St. Helens, quite a few that?
Yeah, no,
were
I'm
before-
sure there
no,
are.
No, I'm just going to state, before
Sure.
I was even born, these were created. Most of them, except for I think the battery plant. I think all the other ones, battery plant I might have been born.
Well, I think the Boise lot itself is probably full of crap.
1929 is when the mill was built, so
Right. So I'm sure that
there's gotta
lot,
be probably.
the lot that everyone walks around is full of crap too. So,
I think
but
one of the issues is how are we going to clean that up? How are we going to do that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
you're
that's
talking about
that's the
lagoon
question.
itself without bringing the Superfund stuff from Portland.
Right.
And our area.
Yeah.
And our area too. I mean, it all is part of the, yes,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Boise lot has to be cleaned up too. before
Armstrong?
Yeah.
Kaiser,
Yeah. Okay.
battery
well,
plant.
Well,
Anyway.
the lagoon has to be cleaned at some point in time.
Correct. Yeah.
Sometime down the future, if something else isn't done with it, it will have to be cleaned at some point in time.
Right. I guess in everyone's minds, though, is why would you add a bunch of crap into that that's already there? You know, why would you bring a whole lot of stuff that's already
Oh, it would be
totally
actually
contaminated?
The only reason it's a good concept is because it's a natural basalt hole that could actually have liners put in there, dredged out, and re-put back, dewatered and put back in, and then continue to put other materials in there. Is the concept?
The concept.
Is
Right.
the concept? It's
We
a
don't
it's a
even-
theory.
Okay.
It's a
Yeah.
theory
Yeah,
right
no,
now.
okay.
Yeah.
It's not gone anywhere, despite what people are going to push out there in the public.
That's just. I
Yeah.
We're
just
still
wanted to
listening.
Get that down in
We're still listening.
I
the record as to what's going
don't
on.
know for sure, but you've got 3 cancer survivors here that are watching this like watchdogs.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, you live here. Why would you want to
Right.
bring something that's not
Exactly.
safe to your own community? So I appreciate that. So that's all my only question.
Yeah, I ask a early question. Is the material that you're thinking about filling in that lagoon, is it any worse than the material that's dredged up and put on Sand Island?
Well, that,
And the answer was no, it shouldn't be.
yeah, that's probably,
So that was my first question, like 3-4 years ago, about filling, the whole idea of filling that with the lagoon with spoils.
all right.
So
But you're going to keep the general public.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is
totally
just
in
very
on
this
I
very
mean, just because
beginning.
this is a very hot button issue,
Yeah.
I think, for a lot of people.
All decisions
Guaranteed.
have to be made in this room
Tony?
in the public.
Tony, guaranteed.
Yeah, no, I.
Guaranteed.
Okay,
There's no.
all right. Well, anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Stu Foreman. I live at 58984 Timberline Avenue here in St. Helens. I'm not here to complain or nothing like that. I think the city does a pretty good job, and I see a lot of really good stuff going on. But I, too, am concerned about the lagoon. I hear it kind of go for a while, then I don't hear anything. I know it's a really bad idea. I base that on my experience working in this stuff. I've worked as a mainline pipe layer for large contractors in Portland, all Gills Lake area, all over Portland. In 2008, I took a hazmat 40-hour class to work in that specific type of material through marine environmental testing, and I learned a lot in them 40 hours, but I didn't learn nearly as much as I did working in it. That a lot of it's petroleum-based. And they do the core sample tests, and then they tell you in their analysis what they think it is. But a lot of that information is based on what the history of that site, like McCormick and Baxter down there, the cove down there at Portland Harbor. When that stuff gets combined, like dug up with a hoe bucket, it can mutate into something really nasty, like a bad monster movie. I've walked around in it in a Tyvek suit and had it melt the boots right off my feet at times when it's a bad idea. Reading about the liner, it's an HDP liner on the bottom they're thinking about, which is, like they use in sewage treatment plants and whatnot. It's fused together. It's pretty good stuff. But it's like a car salesman. He's going to tell you that car's going to go for 200,000 miles or 300,000 miles. And if you've got somebody rating that liner that's selling it to you, how long is it really going to last? I mean, this world is around in 1,000 years. Are they going to pulling that stuff out of the ground as it's falling apart? Going, what were they thinking? So the top is even they describe it as LDP, which is lightweight polyethylene, which is basically you could go down to Dahlgren's and get it, throw it over the pile of dirt. Flood stage of that river is 17 feet, 16 feet. And 1946, it got up to 32 feet above flood stage. So you're looking at 18 feet of water moving rapidly over 3 feet of dirt over a plastic liner or that stuff. And that's going to be down to Astoria within a day or two if that thing hits. About once or twice every 100 years we get a really big flood. So I'm all for filling the lagoon in and making these improvements, and it sounds really good. But if you can't afford it unless somebody's actually paying you to take their crap, then it's kind of like, are we living within our means? I mean, me and my wife have to live within our means. If we can't afford a brand new Humvee, we're not going to sell our soul to the devil to get one. So it wouldn't make much sense. Like the feasibility study, I already did it. You don't have to pay for one. I say no, it's not feasible. The cost of knowing that you've got this burrito of crap that you put down there at the river for, a bag full of money, the money doesn't compute. What I'm saying. It outweighs it, so it's not feasible to do that for that amount of money. So that's it. We got rock is cheap in St. Helens. We got 5 pits. With the bedrock in there, I say, how do you do it? You could wrap a ring of interlocking sheet pile around it, but with the bedrock, I don't think you could drive it in there. How would you de-water it and keep the water from coming back in? You could always clam all that crap out of there. I've been in construction for 40 years. They poured bridge footings in the middle of the Columbia River for the Glen Jackson Bridge. They can definitely clean that thing out, so one way or another. But anyways, that's basically all I got to say. And the leachate pile up behind the fairgrounds. That thing's, have you seen it?
But
Yeah, you can see it from the moon, even without Google satellite.
that's actually Boise's.
Yeah.
That is actually Boise.
Yeah, it was covered with plastic for a while, but I'd rather see that stuff thrown in there. I know the hospital, you've got a pile of dirt up there. If it's a structural fill, you got to use usable and material in order to get compaction if you're going to build anything on top of it. But if it's just going to be lawn or parkway, you can put just about anything in there.
It was Stu, right?
Yeah. Right.
Okay, Stu. So I did ask these questions. We did. Just as far as the McCormick and Baxter stuff you were talking about, completely 100% is going upriver.
Oh yeah.
Anything like that is not.
Where's the material they're proposing giving us? Where's that exactly coming from?
This material would fit the same landfill as over in Hillsborough.
Right, but where is it?
Some of the other materials, like McCormick and Baxter, are going up to Hanford, that area, the pit up there. That's
well,
right.
why don't you mention that? It's like putting it right next to the river. I mean, I remember being like 15 years old, and I'm watching the CBS News, and they're showing we've got problems. Hanford's leaking in the Columbia River, and they've got a side view of these tanks that go below ground that are apparently cracking, and they've done a $3 million study to figure out why is it leaking. It's they put them next to the river. It's not rocket science.
So Stu, what I can tell you is this is just kind of a facility consulting with these officials to be able to have the answers and give them to you guys. We have all this is still a theory, very early stages. Nothing is done. And that's what everybody's reading the comments on some of these posts out there that I'm selling out my own community. That's
I don't know
that hurts.
about that.
I'm going to tell you right now, that really, really hurts. I am kind of a little bit of an emotional guy.
Yeah. Well, I'm not into any of that. I just know that, putting that stuff's in there a real bad idea. You guys know it. We wouldn't even be having this debate. You guys wouldn't have been talking about it this long, I bet you've looked at, I say 40 hours of schooling. You've probably talked about this for 300, 1,000 hours. But you really don't know what it's like until you've stomped around it, in it. I've got a copy can of that stuff I scraped off my boots. It's out in my shop. If you want, I'll bring it out here. I'd like to get rid of it. I'll pay you $100. You bury it out in your yard. Same thing. Thanks.
Thanks, Bill. Other visitor comments?
Al Peterson, 101 St. Helens Street. When I was in high school and junior high school, teachers in math class used to make you show your work. And it was always kind of a pain, especially when you knew the answer and you didn't have to write it all down, but they made you show your work. So then I went on to the university. Sure enough, they made you show your work there. Sometimes it was a pain, but most of the time, for me anyway, I had to write it out because I had to work it out. Some people could work it out in their heads. So then I went on to architecture school, and in my structures class, my instructor also made us show our work. And he was a very good instructor, and he basically said to us, look, you guys got to show your work, and here's why. If you end up doing structural design, if you go on to be structural engineers, you'll be in a firm where first you'll be working as an intern and you'll be doing the calculations. And then your boss or another engineer will go through your calculations, and it's like peer review. He'll go through your stuff and check your work. And then if you go on and actually design buildings, you will be required to do the calculations, do the structural calculations, and show your work. So you design a building, and I don't do it very often, but sometimes I still do it. I do structural calculations, and I show my work. And I turn them in order for my clients to get a building permit. And occasionally the building inspector or someone calls me and says, hey, I've been going through your calculations, and this did happen to me on a house remodel in Oregon City. And the building inspector in Oregon City happened to be a structural engineer. And he called me and he said, hey, I need you to take another look at this beam calculation that you did, because I think you got it wrong. I said, well, thanks. Where, which one? And he told me which one, and he said, you moved a decimal. So fix it. So sure enough, I moved a decimal, and then I had to resize the beam. And I turned the drawings and the calculations back into them, and everything moved forward. So, this idea about showing your work is about you going through the steps of the process and then having your work available for peer review, basically. And that is for safety, for structural reasons, and for other reasons. Now, I made these comments at the budget committee hearing, and I'm going to make them again. You have on your agenda tonight, and I'm sorry, I thought the budget hearing was now, but I guess it was earlier, but I'm just going to make my comments now. You have on your agenda several motions to basically approve the city budget. You do not have the city budget. You have not seen the city budget, and in your document right here, somewhere there's a memo that basically says from your finance director, oh, please approve this, and trust me, I'll fix up the budget and turn it in later. That's not the way it works. And you all haven't seen the budget. You have not seen the entire budget. And the general public, me, or the people sitting out here, they have not seen the budget either. It has not been published anywhere on any city website. It has not been shown to the general public. And if it wasn't published and notified that it was available for review to the general public. So you can't ethically vote to approve the budget because you haven't seen the entire budget. Now, when I came before, the finance director said, well, you should just call me and come up to my office and I can, answer any questions. That is not showing your work. When you show your work, you basically do your work, you turn it in, somebody looks through it, and if they want to double check you or want to ask questions, they can. But it's not about, oh, I have a question about, oh, well, come up to my office and I'll show you whatever you think you want to see. I don't know what I want to see because I haven't read it. And I can't go into the building department and turn in a set of drawings. And when the building official says, well, you need calculations for this, I can't say, oh, just trust me, it'll stand up. I can't do that. And you all as government officials who are, in theory, looking after the public good, you can't ethically vote to approve the budget which you haven't seen. That's all.
I know we have seen it, and we are still in the process of actually amending and, yeah, go ahead and comment, Matt Brown, Financial Director, Matt Brown.
So the budget committee, which consists of you five as well as all the staff unofficially and the budget committee members that you appointed, we went through the budget,
Yep.
every single major line item, looking at the revenues and the resources and the appropriations. The appropriations were listed publicly in the newspaper, as well as the information is available in tonight's packet on the resolution that shows the appropriations for each fund and each type of expenditure that is required for me to show for Oregon state law. The budget document that I assume is talking about is the 125 page budget document that actually gets printed after you approve it, because I'm not going to spend $10,000 on
Because it's getting
printing
amended.
20 copies.
Yes.
As well as what's in there is I need to update the current year's budgets from the transfer appropriations that you do tonight. So I have to update this current budget as well as put in all the new data for the new year, and then I usually print it off. This is the same process I have used since I've been here for the last 3 years. It is the same process that the predecessor, John Ellis, has used before me, as far as not printing the actual official document until it's done and completed. So that budget the budget appropriations are available for the public to view, and it was noted in the noticed in the release, public notice in the paper of what those appropriations are, and gave it a time when anybody could come into the City Hall office and we would print off the appropriations that were on the docket to be approved tonight.
You just can go ahead and print out the budget, because it's a lot of books that get printed and handed to us.
It's several $1,000s that
Yeah.
we pay to have those physically printed up and handed out
Department
to
heads.
department
you,
heads.
us, we get them. Yep.
Correct, and then
Yep.
there's usually a couple copies at the library. And
Yep.
So
Okay. Does that answer your question?
No. Standard procedure. I'm on the budget committee for the Soil and Water District. They do it differently, but they have available the entire draft budget. It's a draft. Everybody knows it's a draft, and everybody knows it can change. They have available the entire draft budget for anybody of the public or the budget committee or the council, or in that case, they call them board of directors. They can read it. They can go through it. They can question it. They can ask questions. They can go through the details if they want to. They can review the entire document if they want to, with the understanding it is a draft. There is no excuse for not having the entire draft budget available to the public for review.
from my recollection, I never received a request for that information from Al. So I would have been happy to provide that should any member of the public wants to do that. So I don't have a request from him asking for that information.
Okay, well, so we answered most of the questions, so we're going to move on to other visitor comments.
Good afternoon. Art Leskowicz, citizen of St. Helens here. Follow up maybe on what Al mentioned. I thought he was going to steal my thunder about measuring and documentation. And I'm going to refer back to last meeting where Keith, you made the statement, jumping over to the lagoon now, as you might have guessed, that we have talked about these options at the lagoon for years, and we're reviewing many different options. So what I would like for you to summarize maybe during your closing minutes or your report next week, a summary of those options that have been discussed about the lagoon and what we're going to do with it. Because I tend to, again, keep asking for options, other options, and I'm not seeing that. Without rehashing this too many times, whether it have been, I'm putting together a chronology to the best of my ability. I'll share it with you. All you can fill in dates and other activities that took place. Back to the Brad Witt proposal for $1.5 million to permit the lagoon as a landfill. And it will be a landfill, Class D landfill, not a brownfield. Okay, when you clean up sites and they're restored and you use them as a parking lot or you build on them, that's a site that's been cleaned up reasonably well so it can be used for alternative uses. Mm-hmm. The lagoon will be a landfill, and it will always be a landfill. So let's begin to properly use some of these correct verbiage.
The brownfield sites the mayor was talking about are in the river, not the lagoon.
Well, the brownfield sites are actually on the land. You've got contaminated sediments in the river. Yeah, so a brownfield site is a site that has been reestablished for some other type of use. Which, again, I wasn't going to bring it up. I've got a whole list of things we can talk about for 2 hours. But since you brought up the sediments in the river, we talked about the dock a little bit earlier. If our concerns are really public health and safety, I'd like to know why don't we have any fish advisories posted for the people that are fishing from our docks, from our shoreline, as a warning for fish consumption, like they do have in the Portland Harbor area. The dioxin and sediments in that channel.
That's a good question.
Rival, or if not extend, and I've asked the health department, I've asked DEQ, I'm asking you as a group. I'll put together the.
It's ODFW puts out those.
No, that is not. That's not
for
correct.
For the fish, that is correct.
It's actually the health department.
Okay.
So
We'll
get together. We need to do a little bit of homework, Mayor.
You seem to know everything, so I would like to defer until we actually have the consultants. That's what the money is about. To defer.
And my 5 minutes are just about up. Don't take my time. Speaking of consultants, again, whether it be your closed executive meetings, your consultants, your meetings,
they're not.
There's no other options that Mall Foster has brought to the table that I've seen. And in the meetings that we've had where people have written down what they want to see happening to the Vernier property and our other properties, I hadn't seen one person ask for a landfill. Not a single person. So I don't know where this idea of a landfill is coming from. But part of who you're, and you used the term last meeting, a conspiracy theorist, which never entered my mind. I was asking for better process, transparency, which we've agreed that we're on different definitions of that with this council. But here's a report, Jim McKenna, who you all know you met with last week. One of his previous reports on the state of Oregon, many hats in regard to Portland Harbor, some of the biggest potential responsible parties, and then the state is concerned with, is the Department of State Lands and the Oregon Department of Transportation. So again, appears the cat might be guarding, or the fox might be guarding the hen house. So you're negotiating all these behind closed door meetings with these agencies, and the biggest agency, the state of Oregon, is one of the biggest potential polluters as far as property ownership on the Portland Harbor. So that's my 5 minutes. Just wanted to clarify a few things, like I said. Just very disappointed the way this whole thing was going and the way you're meeting to save, a few bucks in gas money that we've already spent. When we talk about spending money and the path that we're going down, we spent, correct me if I'm wrong, look at your budget, look at the accounting, probably over $600,000, excuse me, and most of that paid to Mall Foster. And Mall Foster, again, one of the main consultants for the biggest polluters in the Portland Harbor. Just too many things, doesn't look good, doesn't smell good, and have a lot of questions. Appreciate your time. Encourage transparency. This one was for you two gentlemen real quickly. As far as financing, and again, it's all about money. It's not all about money, but you admitted quite reasonably at the last meeting that, yes, money's a big concern. How are we going to clean up this contamination that we know is there that we should be dealing with? First of all, nobody's driving us to clean it up as we speak. There's nothing, no consent order. I don't even know ethically it would be the right thing to do. The only thing that's driving this is the time frame that Portland Harbor is looking at as far as disposing of sediments once they start digging them up. I don't know how we could even begin to permit a landfill under the criteria that the state of Oregon has in that location. You don't put a landfill in a surface water or below groundwater. And that's the situation out there. Our own statement of work that Mall Foster prepared says the staging area for the sediments is in a 100-year floodplain. Gentleman earlier today just mentioned it being in a flood zone. And then, of course, our drinking water. I'll bring up the source water assessment. You might want to review this again. This is from 2005. I don't know if we have an update on the source water
That is
assessment.
false on the 100-year floodplain. It's not even the 500-year floodplain. Look at the
report that you paid the consultant to do.
Look
All
at
right.
the maps.
Look at your statement of work.
The feds. Who am I thinking of? It's a correct term.
It's in the meeting minutes. I could go dig it
not
up
even
in that book
500.
right there, and I can tell you
Oh,
right there. I
see,
can
this
point
is-
to it and highlight it.
We
You're
don't
not even
have
reading
secret
your.
meetings. We don't have secret meetings.
Well,
This
you're
is
not
why
even
we
reading the
don't-
reports
this
that
is
you
why
pay to.
We're trying to find the.
I'm
get
not
the
going to sit here and
answers
waste
we
my
need.
time and argue with you. Thank you for
This
your
is
time.
what we would get at those meetings. We don't do secret meetings, Art. Thank you very much. I live in this community, and you'll see me out there daily. I'm done. You're done. Other visitor comments.
So, great time right here. I remember in 2000 I ran for city council in Wheeler and I lost by 9 votes. But my friend looked at me and he said, "You know what? You know you love your community. It's one of the toughest jobs in the world, and you can't make everybody happy."
Yep.
So, I give you all the credit in the world. I give everybody in this room credit in the world. You got to check and balance and the whole thing, and it's just a tough thing. So, God bless America. Anyways, so I came in here earlier, and I thanked you all for an Eagle event that for a number of years we've been putting together more on the water than here. And I've just come to notice that nobody's come in and asked for that permit. And so I'm sitting here asking for permission for an Eagle event that we were going to be starting tomorrow. Basically, we have a layout of different things that we're going to be doing down there. Okay? We're going to be doing maintenance on the canoe. The community will be hands-on in a living Lewis and Clark here in St. Helens educational experience. We're going to be sanding down that canoe. We're going to be painting on that canoe. We're going to be telling the stories of the canoe. We had a modest budget of $500. And yes, we've taken that and we've gotten some T-shirts that represent St. Helens, that represent the first squad, which is what Lewis and Clark was all about, the first squad. And the first squad, part of it originates and grows right here in St. Helens. We want to be a group that's going to make some money for you guys so that we don't have to ask for the materials that we also have bought with that money. Keith Locke has worked with myself. I've worked with Keith. I've worked with you guys for a decade and a half almost.
Well, that's not what this is about, though. We're
Right.
not requiring you make money.
No. Oh, no. I know,
Job and have fun
but we just want to do the best that we could do, and we want to promote the canoe. And I know it has nothing to do with that at all. At all. We just want to be the best that we can, and you know what? The best that we can is to spread this word is T-shirts. And I can't ask you guys to pay for everybody's T-shirt. I want everybody in this country to have a T-shirt. And I want everybody in this country to know about the Flying Eagle and to come here and to recognize it and to love it and to care about it. So I dig that. We're just personally trying to be the best that we can be. Okay, over these days, we have on each day we're going to be doing something where we honor somebody. Tomorrow, I believe they're honoring at the 13 Nights the first responders, is from what I'm to understand. Okay, we are also going to follow in suit, and we're going to honor Ed Clark. Ed Clark was a 27-year Portland detective. He was a member of St. Helens community for over 3 decades. He was the president of the American Piano Association. Ed Clark got in the canoe and paddled. One day he got out of the canoe and he said, Willow Bill, don't ever ask me to get in that canoe again. He said, but I'll tell you what, if there's anybody that ever needs to drive anywhere, I'll drive them because I love what you're doing. And Ed Clark put 3,300 miles on his vehicle the month that we went up the river back in 2006. Because he took people back and forth. He gave us the opportunity to look at somebody and say, hey, you can get in this canoe and experience it, and we'll bring you right back. And I mean, we were picking people up that were fishing. we picked somebody up that was playing a guitar on the side of the road, and Ed brought him right back a couple hours later. We were getting a 1.1 mile an hour. It was pretty grueling. So we were looking for all the help in the world, and Ed gave us that. And so we want to say thank you to him. Saturday at the barbecue we were talking about earlier, we planned. We're still planning the menu. We don't want to just throw hamburgers and hot dogs. We want to throw some good food out there. We're going to thank Diane Dillard. Diane was the one that got the canoe. She's the one that got the log. I went to both the newspapers today. We should be seeing that in the paper. We want to later on in the week thank Clayton and Eli. Clayton and Eli were 14 and 19 years old. They're the kids out of Columbia City. Clayton went all the way to St. Louis.
Wow.
Off and on. I mean, we should have a statue for Clayton. You know, he's now, his dad and mom had the Klondike for many years. I mean, this family's been in the community for a long time. And, I've talked about the reindeer program for years when I've been in front of you guys. I work with a program that has 50,000 children that goes for 73 miles lit up at Christmas. Next year, we will connect dot to dot all of 395 exclusively in northern Nevada. It's something that, when you get your communities involved, they do great things, and it turns right around. So can we have an Eagle Fest, you guys?
You'll also be memorializing a lot of people and also working on this canoe though, at the same time, right?
You know what? It's a St. Helens, Lewis and Clark, how do I put it, living in a hands-on educational experience that will be happening every day from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Yep.
We will dial it down at 10 p.m., make sure, for obvious reasons, that everybody is kosher with everything that's going on. We're not out there to just tear things up. We're out there to be very good to this community and to, promote positive things.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And Ken did come by and did let us
Yeah,
know
I
that
thought
they-
that was all done. I'm so sorry. I was like, that's what I'm thanking you guys earlier. I was like, thanks you guys. All right.
All right, Willow, we'll probably see you down there, okay?
It's definitely something that, we're going to grow. And it's something that, it's a pretty special thing. It's in a special place. And we like to think it's with special people.
Yep.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, other visitor comments?
Mayor, let me clarify something a minute on this lagoon filling in the Portland Harbor.
We can actually do that at you'll have your opportunity. Right now I'm doing visitor
Okay.
comments.
Well, I just wanted to clarify what some of the people had said with some numbers. So, okay. we'll
Other
do it
visitor
then.
comments?
Shauna Strop Harrison, St. Helens, Oregon. I'm here about the lagoon, and I just had a couple things I wanted to talk about. First and foremost, I want you to know the reason why I share this stuff on social media is because I think you guys have a great platform down here for people to communicate. I think that a lot of people want to piss and moan about something after it's already done, and then they're upset. And I think that I know that you guys are just in the, gathering information for what you can do phase, essentially. I do also know my biggest concern is the push from Portland Harbor in regards to their situation with the EPA. And I feel like they're burdening their problem into our problem. So I have a couple questions I'd just like to get clarified. Have we been under any kind of mandate to get the lagoon cleaned up right now? Okay. So we're not under a mandate to get the lagoon cleaned up right now. Do you guys have any forthright for how you are going to expand the current sewer system that we have that is likely going to need to grow as we grow?
You know what? It's funny that you bring that up. I was just talking today in our work session that do we need to approach Scappoose, and they are currently in the process of probably having to spend 26 million to 28 million on a upgrade to their sewer, which is not a fix all, and would be a better part of half of a state-of-the-art facility somewhere in between Scappoose and St. Helens. Would be a nice shared facility. In my opinion, now would be the time to start talking about them, no matter what happened with that lagoon, period, would be ideally and would open up that whole highway to sewer and potentially water for future development, Shauna.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and I realize that I can turn off comments when I share something, and I will definitely do that next time. I think it's really unfortunate how many keyboard warriors there are out there, and I apologize. I mean, you guys do. Yeah, I can't do nothing about stuff like that, but I mean, I think I know they tag you. So, I mean, I don't.
Not anybody else, me.
Well.
And I can't answer to, this decision doesn't pay, and I have a family, and I have my own landscape business, and I do this job, I think, to the best of my ability. I think I serve my community well. To try to answer social media, you can spend a lot of time on this, and I'm out in the public talking to people and seeing what's going on in our community. I cannot answer social media, and I won't.
Well, I think that's in your best interest.
Yes.
As Mr. Brown has unfortunately found out from himself because of people, they just interrogate. Well, I guess if you think it's fortunately, I don't think it. I mean, I think it's unfortunate for any of our city employees to have to be getting in a pissing match with anybody online. I don't think that behooves anyone. I think it's way better for us to be down here, talk, have an open dialogue, say what our concerns are, hear some of your guys's,
Unfortunately, in his case, it's the only way he can actually.
I get it. Whatever.
Get it out. Yeah.
That's why he gets paid the big bucks. That's all right. Okay. See, so sometimes I guess maybe it works. Anyways, so. My biggest concern is, too, also the repercussions of taking and putting this system into a landfill. So we right now are not under any mandates with DEQ. But, but once we do, it's a landfill, then it is mandated under
We do actually have a DEQ permit that the city holds on the lagoon.
Right. Well, we have several permits with the
Despite
DEQ.
what you might hear that we're out of compliance.
So, wait, can we get, Sue, can you comment on the life of that pond lagoon?
The life of the lagoon?
Yeah.
As far as
If we did nothing, isn't there a process that's not the right way to do things now, and at some point in time we would have to replace it?
Potentially, but it's not a conventional method of treating waste, but it's also it's less expensive than a lot of the conventional methods. So, yeah, potentially it would be something that would need to be changed. The process would need to be changed.
Right.
But at this point in time, there's
right.
there's nothing at all
have to,
that's
no.
compelling the city
Shauna,
to change the process.
We really do not have this. What was not a hidden meeting either. It was actually an informative meeting. We were meeting with council. We were talking about the site itself and potential how that would look with partnering up potentially. No decisions were made. We all sat in on that. Nothing is going to be made. It's going to be complete. I don't have any information on yay or nay. If it don't check out scientifically, a theory is exactly that. It is a scientific-based theory that needs the science be put behind it. Heck, 50-year reunion for the moon, the landing on the moon, is that right? I mean, nobody would ever guessed that. It's a theory. It's a theory. It's a theory phase right now. That's where we're at.
So, the Love Canal happened. I mean, EPA can, do this, that, and the other and things. I mean, the biggest concern with this is straight up the proximity to the waterway, period. Even Foster Mall, whatever their names are, they even they confirmed that to me, that this has not been anything that they've ever done. It's not like something that we can just, say, oh, okay, this checks out, checks all the balances. This is a very unique situation we have here. Yep. And I realize that you guys are doing your best to gather the information, but I also realize where the information is coming from. And I am concerned that I feel like there's only been one environmental company that's been basically saying this is their findings, right? So we've got 20 different other ways. We are flourishing so great. There's so many beautiful things happening around this community, and I think that it's going to continue to do that. I think there's lots of positive things that all of you guys have been in a part of in some way, shape, or form. None of us are perfect. I get that. I realize also that money talks, and it talks a lot. And I realize that our proximity to Portland is a huge draw. I am just super concerned about becoming a dumping ground for Portland. In many other ways than just their spinoff of people that can't afford to live there anymore, but things like this just as well. I do think that there's other different things that we can look at, and I just appreciate your time, and I just wanted to take full accountability for my time that I spend down here, and appreciating the feedback that other people give and looking at different options on what we can do that's going to be best for us in the long haul. I hate to step over $1 to get a penny and end up paying for it for the rest of our lives. And let's not forget that everything that's going on up in Portland, how big is the Willamette? The Willamette's less than 200 miles, I believe, long, but the Columbia is over 1,000. Now, granted, the lagoon is right up at the channel there, but I feel the risk versus reward is huge on it. So I really hope that you guys are very thoughtful about just backing whatever somebody else's scientific theory is.
Nope. And stay tuned and continue, and I know you will. And you can call me anytime. If you really have any questions, just give me a call, and I will give you an honest answer.
Okay, Rick, it's now my turn to answer a couple of things that you point out. No, hold it. It's my turn. You answer, or it's my turn.
Counselor, you're out of order. This is my meeting. You need to understand this, that I am the mayor, and I run this meeting. You can be asked to leave, Counselor Topaz.
You are stopping my.
Please, you are going to have You're going to have your comments at the end of our meeting.
It's directly in contact, and other people have commented on the public at the time. And I want to make one thing that she said to infer it.
Counselor Topaz, you're going to have to wait.
Are you stopping my freedom of speech? Are you amending my First Amendment rights?
I am stopping you from disrupting my meeting.
Do you have that on record?
I have an agenda. And you are part of a council, and you are to follow it. I am running this meeting by law. So, other visitor comments. Okay, seeing none. Let's do deliberations on the fiscal year 2019-20 state shared revenue and budget. Matt Brown.
Happy to answer any questions you have. The appropriations and resolution are in front of you. Is there any questions or any comments that the council would like to make about the state shared revenue or the 1920 budget?
I just have one comment, just given the testimony that we have heard at the Budget Committee and the testimony we've heard tonight. It doesn't seem like it would be too much of an ask to have a draft budget available in this building. Because if you're not here, and, Becky's at the front counter and somebody just wants to see that budget, or if I want to, can I look at that copy? I don't think that's a big ask as just a policy change. I know we've never done it that way, but I don't think that's a big ask to have 2 copies of the budget here at City Hall and post that it's available. I understand that you don't want 1 million draft copies of the budget out there that's going to get finalized and validated in 36 hours. Mm-hmm. But it might have been nice to have a draft budget at least this week, to have, when the council reports went out, to have that available. Just maybe going forward, if it's important enough for people to bring it up, it might be important enough to have it out there for the for the handful of people that are detail oriented or number crunchers, or just like, how does this add up? Because you never know. You're super detail-oriented, you're very good with numbers, and we've audited from independent audit firm every year since the dawn of time, and they never find any discrepancies in your bookkeeping. But I think that just having another set of eyes puts people's minds at rest, if nothing else.
Are you talking about a hard copy, or are you talking
hard
about it
copy.
on a city website, or
I'm
what?
just talking about having a hard copy available, whatever that looks like. If it's come up enough for people to bring it up multiple times, I don't think you need to distribute it twice, because that's just wasting trees and wasting money. But I think in having a hard copy for people that sometimes it's hard to read things on your computer, so online's not a good answer. But I think if you had a copy at the library and a copy here, I think that would be, in the week leading up to when we finalize it, would be enough. Then people would have the access to it if they really wanted to.
Happy to make that change.
And they wouldn't have to make a meeting. To the second point, your office is on the second floor. You don't always work the same hours as other people. But if it was at the front desk and if it was at the library, then that would give people Saturday access, give people evening access, that they can come look at it, make a copy of a page that was important to them. I just thought, we don't want anybody to get the idea that there's any secrets about where the money is spent. And I know that there isn't, but the way that you can show people that there isn't is to let them look at it.
If you go forward with that idea, make certain that next time around that you budget your time to be able to prepare that. I would think that it's a very busy time for you right after our budget hearings, and I can imagine what you're kind of going through, so just make certain that you budget time to do a proposed budget.
That's the only comment I have.
If that's
Yeah, that's
what
only,
the council sees.
from what Matt said, it is available, and he can look up all those numbers, because the overview is just like anybody that's ever done spreadsheets knows that it all rolls to totals. And the way we've done budget complies with Oregon state statute. So he doesn't pull out a number of 100 and it isn't a sum of 50 line items. So you can print the 50 line items twice, because it's already in your system, because it's already rolling up to those totals.
Correct.
You don't go back with this number and then divide it out. It's all part of a summation.
Yep.
Okay,
We
other
need a
comments?
head nod from that, or?
Other comments on the revenue and budget for 2019-20? Okay. Now we're going to deliberate comprehensive plan and zone amendment Riverfront Connector Plan.
So if you concur with this proposal, the motion would be to approve as presented by staff. I just want to, there's a couple things I want to point out. When the staff report was prepared, Appendix 9 and 10 were not included. Appendix 9 is the alternate cross-section for Section 2.1. That was already described in the report, and the reason we wanted that cross-section is so when our associate planner applies for grants, there's something graphic, which always helps in grant efforts. And then Appendix 10 was the cost estimates. We didn't have the final version of the cost estimates until today about 3:30, because Kittleson didn't have the Gable Road US 30 intersection done yet. Both of these were included in the presentation, so they are in the record. I just want to make sure we get the technical part of approved by staff with the inclusion of Appendix 9 and 10.
There are notations about them. I know it's not relevant to the corridor plan, but I didn't know in the footnotes about what we talked about, the adjustments coming to Highway 30 at Millard, different things that affect the traffic plan, or is it not important to note that? Just if people brought up issues about increased traffic on the road, that plans are like a footnote or whatever, like plans are to change this Highway 30 traffic. So traffic counts at the time of this plan may be different from when it's implemented, or does that matter? You're looking at me like I'm speaking in a different language.
Yeah, I'm trying to
trying to remember what we said in the
Well-
document about that.
Well, because people have brought up, there's been testimony about truck traffic and stuff at Gable
Right.
and truck traffic at the crossing there at 18th. But if traffic changes out at Millard, that changes the conversation at Gable.
Right, and I
don't know
think
whether it's relevant to have that,
Well, I
you know,
think-
or as a footnote, because if this doesn't get planned for 10, 15 years, that
I
they
think
will take that into consideration.
I
when
think
they
we
make any
we did
adjustments.
already have some discussion during the process about that, and I think we have some narrative in the plan. If we don't, you know, it'd be easy enough to add a couple of sentences about that, and you could include that in the
Yeah, I mean, 'cause
resolution,
sometimes
just
you
to
look at a plan and you're like, how
add
did
that
we do this?
language
And it's
if
like,
needed.
Oh, this light wasn't there when this
Yeah.
plan was written.
So I think that language is there, but
Okay.
if you wanted to add that to the
We've had the
resolution to
conversation a couple of times.
Yep.
In different
Yeah.
meetings.
Yes, we did, and so I think we addressed it in
There's
some way.
out there.
I believe so.
Okay.
So you're just talking
I can
about
flip
the
through.
Millard Road intersection down to Old Portland and tying back into Old Portland.
Correct. That there's, yeah.
Into Old Portland, tying into Old Portland. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
it
is
affects the
correct,
Gable
isn't it?
Road crossing and it affects traffic patterns from there.
Yes.
And all of that was taken into the design of the project.
Yep.
Correct. Yeah, and if I can kind of flip through and see if I can find that section while you're deliberating, and
Yeah,
if it's
that's
there,
all
then
that I
we're good.
wanted to make sure that sometimes the, for lack of a technical term, the pretty picture is nice, but it's all in the footnotes.
Sure. Okay.
You know, as I've learned from working with Jacob on Planning Commission, that the staff report and all those notes underneath is where the details are and where you know why you did what you did and why it is the way it is. Because just a picture doesn't tell the whole story.
Right.
Comments from other counselors on the Riverfront Connector?
This is a good starting point. The fact that we have the flexibility to change things, I think, should be necessarily stated. This is the beginning, not the design end. Because as anything happens different on the waterfront, obviously that roadway changes and so on.
And that's a good point, and I'm glad you brought it up. In the planning industry, you know, a term that we hear a lot nowadays is these are living documents, and you know, this is the plan at this particular point in time. And if we go back to why we did this, when we were working on the framework plan, you know, some of the initial transportation stuff showed, oh, we're going to have some problems. We better start thinking about it. Because you open up Plymouth, you develop that property, and combined with growth. And of course, you know, planning is an attempt to foresee the problems and have something in the place so we're prepared. And, you know, some of the major catalysts for this were some of those intersections. Like, wow, you know, right now, you know, not a lot of traffic on Plymouth to Old Portland Road, but once you open that up, you can have more volumes and more problems. And so we want to make sure that the system functions adequately, and that's why we did this. But if something changes in 10 years, technology, circumstances, of course, we can always revisit. But it's about being prepared.
As long as this plan isn't cast in concrete forever, that's the real problem. If this is the first step and it's flexible as things change, then there's no problem with the plan. But as I say, if we cast in concrete, you can't touch that rock ledge at the corner. There's a number of sillinesses involved with that statement.
Yeah, this plan does not prohibit leveling a portion of Great Cliffs Park.
Wrong end.
Or Nob Hill.
Nob Hill, I'm sorry.
Don't scare people.
We also have Jacob's Bluff too.
Don't scare
Yeah, that's another matter.
Keep track of our rocks.
And just, I'd also say, you know, if you want a sentence or two to that effect, that this plan can be refined, amended, et cetera, in the future, I think that's kind of implied in any planning document. Like, you can amend your comprehensive plan, you can amend your development code.
Anything that comes before this council, because we can change anything.
Exactly. But if you wanted us to add a sentence or two about that up front in the plan, it's, you know, it's easy to add a sentence or two. So if you want to again make
I
that
don't
part
think
of
it
the
wouldn't hurt if
resolution.
you wanted to throw something in there, just,
'Kay.
you know, statement or whatever. Okay, any other comments on this? Okay. Ordinance number 3238, an ordinance to end.
Mayor Scholl,
Yeah.
we need
We need to vote?
vote. Yeah, because this we're gonna follow up with an ordinance,
Okay.
so we need the formalities. So we need a motion and all that
I
jazz.
did a motion on the first deliberation too.
So what I'm hearing, based on the comments and mine and yours, your motion would be approve as recommended by staff with the additions of Appendix 9 and 10 and language emphasizing flexibility and the ability to amend in the future.
So moved.
Mm-hmm.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to amend as Jacob recommended. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none? I don't, because it's down below. I was just seeing that. Okay. All right, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay. Ordinance number 3238, an ordinance to annex and designate the zone of certain property at 2225 Gable Road. Ordinance number 3239, first reading. An ordinance to amend the St. Helens Municipal Chapter 8.28 regarding city docks. And then first reading of ordinance number 3240, an ordinance amending the St. Helens Municipal Code Chapter 13 to define the St. Helens Community Recreation and Parks fee. Okay. So now we're going to move on to resolutions. Resolution 1846, a transfer resolution to increase appropriations due to additional revenue for fiscal year 2018-19.
Move we adopt resolution number 1846.
Second.
Okay. Not hearing any questions. All those in favor of approving 1846, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, resolution 1847, a resolution authorizing the transfer of appropriations within a fund for fiscal year 2018-19.
Move we adopt resolution number 1847.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve resolution 1847. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 1848, a resolution authorizing the transfer of appropriations within a fund for fiscal year 2018-2019.
Move we adopt resolution number 1848.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve a resolution 1848. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, resolution 1849, a resolution of the City of St. Helens Council authorizing support and submittal of the local government grant to the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department for recreational trail development on the Salmonberry Lake property.
Move we adopt resolution number 1849.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve resolution 1849. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 1850, resolution of the City of St. Helens declaring the city election to receive state revenues.
Move we approval of resolution 1850 as read.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve resolution 1850. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 1851, a resolution of Common Council of the City of St. Helens, Oregon, adopting budget, making appropriations, and levy tax for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2019.
Move we approve resolution 1851.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve resolution 1851. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Resolution 1852, a resolution determining that an unsafe structure exists upon property located at 334 North 7th Street within the City of St. Helens, and directing that notice to abate the nuisance be posted on said premises.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve resolution 1852. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, approve and authorize for signature. Agreement with McKinsey and Millard Road Park Master Plans, and B, contract payments.
Move we approve and authorize for signatures, items A and B.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve items A and B. A and B. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, appointments in city boards and commissions. What do we got?
On the Arts and Commission, we have two members two people who have been selected by the Committee of the Arts Commission to be appointed.
Okay.
And they are recommended to be appointed. Margaret can give me the names.
Okay. I'm not sure I can.
One of them is Ken Hansen. Something like that.
Jenna Reinking?
It is. Her name is Jenna Reineking.
Okay.
Move we approve the recommendations of the Arts Commission, Jenna Reinking
Yep.
and
Ken Hansen?
Ken Hansen.
Yep.
Second.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded to approve Ken Hansen and Jenna Reinking to the Arts Commission. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, consent agenda for acceptance. A, Parks and Trails Commission minutes dated April 8th, 2019. B, Planning Commission minutes dated April 9th, 2019. C, Parks and Trails Commission amended bylaws dated May 13th, 2019. D, Library Board dated March 11th, 2019.
Move we approve consent agenda for acceptance, items A through D.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve consent agenda A through D. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, on the next one, we have an amendment to make on our executive session that happened at Mo Foster, and it should read that also ORS, not only just ORS 2E, ORS 192.6602E and 2H, what it should read. So we need to amend that. What I said.
Move
Council.
to approve as amended. That's it?
No, just to amend it first before we even approve it.
Oh,
Before we, you're making a motion to amend the council or executive session minutes.
oh. Move to approve executive session minutes as amended.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to amend the minutes as said. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, consent agenda for approval. A, council work session, executive session, public forums, public hearings, and regular session minutes dated May 1st, 15th, and 21st, 2019. And B, accounts payable bill list.
Move we approve consent agenda 11A and B.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve consent agenda A and B. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Hearing none. Okay, got quite a few things to report. We got the first, let's just go on down the line. We got graduation, geez, is this right? Tomorrow or whenever it is, yeah, I mean, like a
Friday.
couple days, it seems like tomorrow. The kids, boy, time just flies. Then the following weekend we have Kiwanis Parade, and then the following weekend after that we have Citizens Day in the park. So those are all the Saturdays. Just starting, it's 13 nights starting tomorrow. Hit Machine, lo and behold, it's supposed to be kind of a little bit iffy weather. Hopefully it breaks and holds off because they're a good, very good band. I like listening to Hit Machine. But that kicks off that, and also we have in the end of June is Cruising the Gut starting. So very busy Thursday, Friday, Saturdays in city of St. Helens coming up. So yes, and I'm sure there's more. I mean, the library's got a lot more going on. That's just some of the things I know of. And the rec program has a lot going on. So I love this time of year when this town starts coming back to life, spring. Then just to reiterate that, we are not in no way, shape, or form having hidden meetings. Anyone on this council that I know of is having a hidden meeting with anybody. That we are just trying to get the information in order to get the information to also be educated enough to give it to the public and allow others to help facilitate that. That's what that is all about, the funding. So don't make anything more than what it is. It is what it is, and that's exactly what it is. And I will look anybody in the eyeball and tell them that in my community that I live in and I love and I care about this community a lot, and that we have not made no decisions. It's just a theory, period, despite what others may be out there saying and pushing. And honestly believe in what they're saying. We are the ones that are meeting with these people. I'm telling you the truth that we haven't made no decisions or anything like that. So, I just needed to say that because it really kind of hurt some of the comments that I was reading. I've lived here a long time, and I would never allow anything to come into this community that's going to harm my kids or my friends, the good citizens of St. Helens. No way. If it doesn't check out, it doesn't check out, period. And I know the council feels the same way. We sit up here and do this. It's a thankless job. I'm going to tell you right now, some of the comments I read were, they're in bed with everybody. They're getting paid off. The mayor's developing property. He's getting kickbacks. Bull BS. That is, I've taken a financial hit, and I'm just going to say this because I said it a few times. I will give you my taxes, and you can see when I became mayor how much of a financial hit I took. Okay? For 3 years now, I've been taking one on the chin financially to serve my community, and I do love my community that much that I'm willing to do it. That's point blank the way it is. So I sleep very, very well at night. Okay, other Council President Morton.
Well said, Mayor, and I think it needed to be said. Talk about community involvement. We had members of the Kiwanis Club did a cleanup this last Saturday from St. Helens Street to Columbia Boulevard. Cleaned up a couple loads of brush from and dead wood and litter and all kinds of things that were didn't serve our community well by passerbys. And so take a good look at the area between Columbia Boulevard and St. Helens Street on Highway 30. It's cleaned up thanks to the Kiwanis Club.
You guys did a fabulous job, by the way. I just gotta, yes. Thank you, Kiwanis. And Councilor President Morton was there working as well.
That was my bad.
He's a Quanian.
I know he is. All right. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Councilor Locke?
You just blanked what I was going to talk about, but just talk about what you're talking about, that we do take this seriously, and this is my 19th year. I've been a resident here for, 35 years, 36 years, something like that. Own a lot of property here, or some property here. And this is my job. I'm disabled. I've been disabled for 22 years now, and I said I'm going to give back to my community. So I've been working, when I was younger, doing 13 nights, I was doing like 60, 70 hours a week. And spend a lot of time. I try and be fair to everybody now and then. I try and take in everything, everybody that talks to me. try and listen to everybody, and I try and balance it all out. And that's what all of us do. We talk about a lot. We talk about all the different options all the time. And everybody here is very passionate about it, and they want to serve the community. And just like anybody, it's too bad that, you can do 100 good things, but the community will only remember that one bad thing you did. So that's all I got.
Thanks, Councilor Carlson.
Didn't have anything to say on that subject. I'm glad I'm free of the Facebook drama, so that's all I can say. I came here, I'm sorry, I apologize to everybody for missing the earlier meeting. As some of you may not know, my daughter graduates this Friday. It's an emotional week for me, and my family comes first. I took time off from work to take care of my daughter, and I took time off this afternoon to take care of my daughter. And I appreciate you allowing me that time. Today, I just wanted to appreciate the work that we've done with, the Kiwanis do a wonderful job behind the scenes, never ask for any brownie buttons or any brownie points. They just are tirelessly working to make this a better place to raise a family. And I just want to put a shout out to them and all the things they do and their great parade on the 15th, Citizens Day on the 22nd, and I had wanted this body to have a LGBTQ Pride Month resolution, but couldn't put that together from the city. But I will wish that people in our community that struggle with feeling accepted and being themselves to feel that they belong. There's been a lot of young adults in my youth group that have struggled to transition and struggled through being discarded by their family. And it's just sad that in this community that has reached out and accepted me, that 15 and 16-year-old boys and 16-year-old girls would not be accepted by their own parents. They're in this struggle. And, there's just a lot of pettiness goes on, and I think deep down everybody really wants what's best for this community, what's best for parents and best for our kids. And we just have to keep that focus in mind. It doesn't matter where you sit. Everybody has a chance to play that role in making this a better place for all of us. That's all I have.
Well said. Thank you for representing with the colors too. Appreciate that.
That's all I did.
Yep.
I didn't want to be all politically weird, but it's, if you've known anybody that I've lost so many friends to AIDS in the 80s, I have lost more people than I have fingers and toes. So, yeah, it's when you've watched your brother bury partner after partner after partner, and you see people being excluded. It's a serious thing. It's not a political thing. It's just people should feel comfortable being themselves, whatever that is. So, and this is a community, I think, that June is a perfect month in St. Helens with the Kiwanis Parade. It's like the greatest parade ever, coming from Junior Rose Festival today. And it's like, it's got nothing on the Kiwanis Parade. It's a beautiful day that turns out this community like nothing else. Got 4th of July coming up. Citizens Day, come out and have some hamburgers. Who knows, you might do a flash mob dance in the park in the rain. You never know what we're going to stir up over there. So I just think it's a time to remember what's important and coming together. And I really appreciate people bringing their concerns, because there are concerns that we've all had, that we've all shared, but it's just great to hear it from somebody else. Because it's always better when 20 people stand and say, wait, this needs to happen, instead of one person. One voice can get ignored. 20 voices are easier to pay attention to. So I appreciate everybody in the process.
Okay, Councilor Topaz, I apologize for what happened earlier. I just want to make that before I call on you. But I have to control this meeting and run it, and so we can actually make some headway. And I look forward to continuing to work with you. I just want to put that behind us.
Yeah,
Okay?
I really want to back up what Sean has said about money. Not making any judgments of what the material is they're bringing out of the Portland Harbor, but we've been told that how many million cubic yards are there. And if you haul this to Hillsborough, they said it's going to be this or that. I'll give you some numbers to show you how big the problem is. And one of the other things that comes up, because the river has some rules and agreements with the Native Americans, we can only dig out of that harbor 4 months a year. So if you assume we're going to clean the Portland Harbor up in 10 years, you've got 40 months. And that comes out to, you start running numbers, that's 700 15-yard dump trucks a day. Now, if you run that over to Hillsborough, and you take the standard cost that it takes to run a 15-yard truck, there are two numbers that show up. If you use the Google number, you only go 23 miles. If you use the trucker's number, you go 62 miles. And that's partially because you can't run waste through tunnels and other places. But here's where the numbers get scary. To haul waste from the Portland Harbor to Hillsborough's dump is $210 million. If you run it with the trucker's numbers, it's $4,200,000,000. Now, if you bring that same stuff here to St. Helens, it's $9 million. If you bring it to St. Helens by train, it's $10 million, but I somehow don't think a 7 or a 107 car train every day going to Scappoose will fly. If you put the same stuff on a barge and take it up to Arlington, it's $151 million. The reason I'm bringing that up, and this is making no effort to see whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. This is just hauling costs. This is not unloading. With waste, even if it's not toxic or hazardous, the federal rules on the road really add paperwork to that truck driver. So when we're talking about what kind of pressures can be happening behind the scenes and who is guarding the hen house, you're looking at a $4 billion project just for hauling. That's not digging it up, signing off. For instance, every ton tipping fees are $100. And that's added to this. Every ton is $100. So there's a lot of financial money that could exert horrendous amount of pressures. And I hope everybody's aware of the sizes. 700 trucks a day leaving the harbor, or if we bring it here, it's 5 barges a day. So it's a big problem. And when people say, oh, we're saving a little bit of gasoline or a little bit, and waving their hands, put numbers on what they're talking about, because the numbers are really, really scary. And that's even before whether we can do it, or whether it's toxic, what other problems we have. This is just hauling it just because of what it costs to run stuff down the road. It's a huge financial problem, and when this amount of money shows up, there's funny interests that show up also, and we have to be aware of that. So the pressure between $4.2 billion and $9 million, whether it goes to Hillsborough or here, is a lot of pressure, and our state legislature, which is short on money, may be swayed in the wrong direction. Thank you.
Got anything else?
That's it.
Okay. All right. Chief Greenway, got anything?
No, Mr. Mayor, I don't have anything right
Okay. Sue?
Not tonight, thank you.
Okay. Margaret? No? Matt? You got
Yeah, I
some.
got two things.
Okay.
Two quick things. On your dice, I put a copy of the calendar of the recreations. I hope you all saw that's for June, July, and August to just keep you informed of what the recreation center is doing. Looks like we have almost something going on every single day, which I think is awesome. I just wanted to make sure you had that information. So if you get questions or you're interested in coming to an event, we look forward to having you out there. The second thing is that staff is working on an SDC agreement with the apartment complex that is going in, and it is a SDC agreement that is allowed through our code that allows a developer to finance the SDCs. The amount of SDCs between water, sewer, storm, and parks is almost $700,000 for this development, so they're asking to finance it over a number of years. So the question of whether we can do it is already in our code, that we have to allow them the option of doing installment payments or kind of a loan to repay that. The part that the council has jurisdiction is what interest rate we choose to put that loan on. So talking with John, and we have staff would suggest about a 6% interest rate. It's a little bit higher than usually what you would see at a normal bank, but
Not for commercial.
not not necessarily for
Right.
commercial. Correct. So I guess I am looking at the council to see if 6% is adequate for what you feel, or if you feel that it should be something different. It is up to you to decide as a council what interest rate to charge on the SDC agreement. Got anything to add, Joe?
Oh, I would just say that that's founded in the ORS that we have to provide these kinds of agreements, and some cities develop a policy around this about what their interest rate's going to be. It's tied to something plus an administrative fee, and depending on the term of the loan and the opportunity cost of what we would have done with that money over those 10 years. We talked about that earlier with the cost of transportation projects earlier is a really good example. So, but we don't have such. These are kind of rare. I think the reality of these types of situations, they don't last the term. They're usually refinanced at some point, and they're a priority lien that goes on the property, so they don't last as long as you might think they're going to be locked up. Especially in the single-family market, this is a multifamily project. So, but and then there's a perspective on competing with the private sector on banks and other lenders like that. So, if the city wants to discourage that, they can conceptually charge a higher interest rate to discourage that and push them back to the private market to get their funding or be in the range. So.
I'm saying start at 8, let them negotiate a little bit. You start at 6, they're going to still try and negotiate.
It'll be what you say it is. So.
Yeah, I don't know that they have a lot of room to negotiate. If you guys set the rate at 22, I mean, obviously you're not going to, but
Right.
That's the rate that the council wants to choose. So that would probably force them to look at other funding options for those SDCs. So I have a...
I'm sorry, but who are we talking about for the SCCs? I'm sorry, I was signing in and talking.
The new apartment.
You weren't paying attention to me, Rick?
Paying attention.
It's all right. I'll let it go. I guess you're the mayor.
No,
The
that
apartment-
might be about a $20 fine there.
The apartment. I think.
Yeah, the apartment complex. There's 18 buildings, apartment, buildings that are going in that have a number of units, and
I don't know. 6% seems fair. I mean, it's a big project, guys.
Yeah, I think you have to weigh.
We did look at some other cities.
Got to be business friendly, and if it's compatible with other communities, we don't want to be anti-business.
yeah, I think at least when I settled on throwing out the 6 initially, it was to me higher than probably what they might get at a commercial loan. However, as John mentioned earlier, I kind of look at the opportunity cost of what are we losing in those whatever years it takes them to pay it back. I specifically look at parks SDCs because we have a lot of projects in parks, and parks specifically was over $200,000 that we would get. So that could be well-used money on SDC eligible projects. And same thing goes for water and sewer and storm. So I look at the opportunity cost of what we're losing out in those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many years it takes them to repay the loan.
Just as a matter of policy, it might be a good thing to get the medium of the commercial interest and maintain that year after year after year after year as time goes on, rather than putting down a number 6%. Well, that's going to change next year, and we'd have to go through this thing. It's the same kind of thing over and over and over again. So, as a matter of policy, I would take the medium interest rate of commercial lending, and punch that in.
Yeah, as John mentioned earlier, a lot of cities choose to do whatever that rate is plus 1% or something to add in any kind of administrative costs of trying to track it and all that kind of stuff. So that is definitely
I'm more interested in
a solution as a policy.
I'm more interested in it, being a sustainable type of thing as time goes on.
And they seem to always be in a hurry when it gets down to that. That their permits are ready, they want to enter these things, and it's just, want to start tomorrow kind of thing. So it's always a big push. So.
So we need a decision tonight, is what you're saying.
Yes.
They would prefer it.
6 is fine with me.
I disagree.
Yeah, so 6 is fine. And Doug, you're talking about doing a set set rate of whatever the commercial is right now plus
Right,
a
because we're gonna have to
percentage
change
for admin.
6% next year.
That's an index.
And then after
Correct.
that, we're gonna have to change it again, and we're gonna have to
Correct.
change it and keep changing it.
Why
And
did
how
you
did
say
we come up
6%
with
was
6%?
permanent?
How did we come up with 6% in the first place? So, I think a very fair way of doing that is research what the medium of commercial loans is, and you can add 1% to that, or you can
Yep.
put it wherever you want, or wherever the council wants.
Yeah, but having a thought process, so then no matter
Any
if it's there,
idea?
know where you got there.
Any idea on what that is?
I have not looked it up.
Commercial loans?
No. John, do you have a rough idea? On that amount of money,
Probably with the 1%, it's probably 5%.
Yeah, that's why I
Plus,
think
plus
we're
one.
probably
It's probably
close.
pretty.
I think we're pretty close to where it would
picked a
be.
number close to that, the
6%.
current situation. But if interest rates go up or down, then having something that's indexed to an average is great.
So it's to the tune of what? Probably when it's all said and done, 600,000 for all the buildings. Is that correct? Roughly.
the total SDCs,
Yeah.
it's almost 700,000. It's like
700?
$680 or $1,000 or so.
So, 6%, 7. You're looking at it's pretty good. I'm just wondering if you didn't do like a 0.5% more. That's for administrative.
At least what I've done in prior cities, and I've seen other finance directors do, is anywhere from 1.5% to 3% administrative costs. But obviously, that is up to city council and probably John to
That's
have input
that's
in
kind of
on
a gravity thing where if it's a $20,000 versus $700,000, the percentage is pretty
Yeah, a lot different.
different.
Yeah,
Admin's
1 point,
not all that
1
much different.
It's
so.
huge.
Says commercial rates can vary between 3.44 to 12%.
That's very helpful.
So 6%.
That's very, very helpful.
That's why we take the medium.
We can definitely tell our attorneys if that's what's approved is Doug's, Councilor Morton's ideas of taking the
Well,
median
4 to
of
12, the medium's 8, right?
So should we give them a Matt direction on something, a point between 6 and 7, somewhere in there, that he find that spot? And be
Somewhere
okay with it?
5 and 8.
Because he needs direction. They need direction.
So
They
do
have
you,
they have a whole stack of, they're ramrodding them through our planning commission, or our planning department right now.
honestly, I'm very favorable to Councilor Morton's idea, just because it means that I don't have to come back here a year from now
Right.
with another project, and we already kind of have this set policy. So if you have something in mind, and then I can come back at a later meeting with an actual policy for it. But for today's decision, if you want to do something like an index plus 1.5% or whatever that
Is there an index from the federal banking that gives that?
I'm sure our attorneys can figure out what is probably the most appropriate index to start looking at.
Because then that goes with whatever business is going. Like President Morton said, if it's going up or going down, we stay with the standard. Just pick the right index.
Well, I think, yeah, whatever.
Plus 2%.
37.
2% sounds good.
We could make it
Right,
really
any-
You're up
Anywhere
to
from
10%.
1.5
You're up to
to 4.
10% right
Gentlemen,
now.
And ladies, we have been here for quite some time today. So do you have some direction there, Matt? I don't know.
Yeah, as long as it sounds like the overall consensus of the council is you're okay with a general index plus a 1.5% or 2% for administrative costs.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
I will.
So- My first number was 8, and you thought that was too high. Now the number is 10.
Well, 6 plus 2 would be.
No, the 8 is the medium. If it's 4 to 12, 8 is the medium.
Dependent on what index it is, I will have our attorneys draft up a agreement. We will send it to them. We will see what they say.
Okay, Matt, what else you got for us?
That's all I got.
Is that really it? Okay.
What else do you want to talk about?
No.
Want to talk about life?
Kathy? Nothing? John?
Yeah, a couple things. I didn't want we talked a lot about the lagoon. I didn't want to overshadow the body of work that we're accomplishing on the waterfront. I mean, the Riverfront Connector it's a great project. It connects the river, comes from the highway, creates that link that's going to bring coming down to and through the Gateway project. You know, we've done a lot of this planning work, grant funded, thankfully from outside sources. The lagoon feasibility, repurposing feasibility has been primarily outside funds that have interest in this project, but it's a concept. We've talked about that, but what we haven't talked about is even if the answer is no, thank you. We go through this feasibility. We don't have enough information at this point to make an informed decision. I don't think anybody on the council is a yes at this point, and some maybe not even at a maybe. But as we work through this money, the funding, have questions, we get answers, and even if the answer is no, thank you, we know a lot more about what we have. We know what's going to be in the lagoon, the characterization of, the seismic, what's in it right now, because we don't really know. All of that, we'll be in a better place. It doesn't feel like it right now, but we'll be in a better place than when we started. But
I mean, they're going to be looking at hydraulic flows coming off the back wall and the whole works, right?
Right.
Okay. Yes.
A few months ago, we started on exploring municipal broadband, just kind of doing a quick and dirty feasibility project. And I've since met with people from Portland that are working on an initiative to provide high-speed gig service to fiber to home service that is basically run as a public utility. And that feasibility work is done. I've sat through Matt and I and our IT person have sat through the debrief on that, and it's really an interesting story, and I was hoping the council might want to hear it in a workshop setting. And they're willing to do that it took their hour and a half down to about 20 minutes to kind of hit the high levels. If there's council appetite for that, and they're willing to do it, it's really a pretty interesting potential project. Other communities, Hillsboro's on the edge of it. Hey, Sandy's been doing it for like 10 years really successfully. And
Ashland's been doing it for eons.
Yeah, yep. There's a few of them out there. I get excited about it, but I want to share that information, and it's such a technical level that I can't do that because I don't understand it well enough. But
I think we need to give them 40 minutes myself. But.
As long as we're not completely swamped like we are today.
So they have time at the June 19th meeting workshop to talk about.
We'll put them on there.
Okay.
We'll put them on there.
Okay.
Don't overload us.
I have a go back. Actually, 2.
Yeah, you have a go back. Oh, John's not done yet. I can tell. He was going down the list. Are you done?
I'll pass this talking stick. Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
One, I'm not a quantity anymore, so I can't put my Qantas hat on, but I am helping with the parade. Still.
Yep.
Are you planning on driving the city truck?
I can. I know how to. I don't want the cramps. That's right.
Well, we need to know because our grand marshals, they need a place to be, and I said, well, worst case scenario, we have the city truck. So, I know you. I know you love driving it, except your right foot on the clutch.
I mean, yeah. If I could stop and run around the truck,
Right. Does it have an emergency brake?
It does, but it's still just the way you sit in it, and it's just like you got to get out and be able to stretch because it just
Right. You got to put it in neutral first.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, even in neutral, you're trying to do this,
Right.
like move your leg
Oh,
out
yeah.
like this. No.
Not designed like a regular. Yeah. But anyway, we need to know that, or else find them something else. So.
I'll call you. I'm pretty sure I can do it. I mean, Doug knows how to drive it too.
Well, I've got chicken barbecue
Oh, you got chicken barbecue?
at the Methodist Church.
We have
that day.
city staff that can drive it too.
That's true.
So
So
let's
okay.
go ahead.
So
either
you,
I'll
at least
drive
you'll
it.
commit to
I'll,
the truck
yes,
then.
either I'll drive it, yes,
or somebody will.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. So that's one thing then. Trying to remember what my other thing was. Anyway, okay. It'll wait till next meeting.
Yep. Go ahead.
I missed, and I don't know if you talked about it earlier. I was just wanted to, if she listens or anybody cares, thanks to Joan Youngberg for
Yeah.
all of her tireless work every summer to provide us with a community art project that says that we can be different and stand together.
Yes, I went out there and thanked her earlier. That's a good
Yeah.
point.
I just want to make sure that we think, because this is just goes on and on and on, and she started another project for
it looks
kids.
good out there.
She's
Looks really good.
asking for more art supplies today for another project.
Thank you, Joan.
Yes.
I remember what I had. I remember what my second thing was. So, 13 nights. Even though it's supposed to rain tomorrow, Hit Machine will be in dry, so they can play. They fit underneath the stage very nicely. So there will be great music, and we are Oregonians here. It does not rain in Oregon, so enjoy. Come down and enjoy the music.
The acoustics are better with umbrellas.
Yes.
Okay. Any other final comment from anybody before we head out? Okay. We're adjourned.